They made a commitment to faith, counting down the days to the Easter Vigil when they proudly joined the Catholic Church and took their place in the pews.
I love to come to church. I feel at peace, most at peace when I'm at church.
For some, the journey began on their own, thousands of miles away.
What I experienced in Japan, a lot of people are not happy. They need to be touched by Christianity.
For others, motivation started right where they were.
Seeing everything he's going through, I don't think he could do it without faith.
But no matter what steps they took, it all led to the same place, home.
I baptize you in the name of the Father.
These are their stories. Meet the church's newest brothers and sisters. This Currents News special, Coming to Catholicism, starts right now. People. That's how many men, women, and children became fully initiated into the faith at Easter Vigils this year throughout the diocese. It's almost double the number of catechumens and candidates from last year. And tonight, we are looking into some of their amazing journeys to Catholicism. Right now, we're joined by Jessica Easthope, who got to know some of these catechumens and even witnessed them making their sacraments at the Easter Vigil. Hi, Jess.
Hi, Christine. When I was covering the Easter Vigil Mass, I could see almost a sigh of relief when water was being poured over the heads of the catechumens and Bishop Robert Brennan was blessing the foreheads of the candidates with oil. It was a kind of quiet emotion and a moment that's easy to miss if you're not right there. But we were.
Lumen Christi.
With flames in their hands and fire in their hearts, more than 1,200 adults in the Diocese of Brooklyn entered into the Catholic faith at the Easter Vigil on April 4th.
Lumen Christi.
At the Co-Cathedral of St. Joseph in Prospect Heights, 12 of them, 8 catechumens being baptized and receiving communion and confirmation.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.
And 4 candidates receiving communion and confirmation.
Mary, Nicholas, Carlo Acutis, Joseph.
Took a life-changing step. One, Bishop Robert Brennan says proves the church is alive.
The church is very much alive here in Brooklyn and Queens. It's alive around the world. But we're thrilled to be welcoming over 1,200 people. It's a sign of the commitment of so many people. The people are showing their faith, bold, joyful, and unapologetic.
Candidate Israel Rosario says his faith journey was filled with twists and turns, but he eventually ended up right where God wanted him to.
I called my dad after church. He was like, when we came from Puerto Rico in the 70s, my family came here. So I found a picture of my late aunt and uncle and my dad on the stairs right there after doing communion. 50 years later, I'm getting my confirmation, my communion and confirmation. So it's definitely a full circle for me.
These new Catholics have spent 2 years completing the Order of Christian Initiation of Adults, or OCIA, and they all have a new faith to call on in moments of joy and despair.
Keep your eyes fixed on Christ. He wants to walk with you. That's the whole point of this week, that Jesus came to walk with us even unto suffering and death, and he conquered death by his resurrection.
I love to come to church. I feel at peace, most at peace when I'm at church.
Israel's family stopped going to church after his grandmother died, and he thought his relationship with God was over at just 7 years old. And now, Christine, he's the one carrying on that faith tradition for his family.
Jess, what an inspirational story. And he's not the only one. I'm sure there's many others who have personal reasons about why they came back to the church, right?
And that's just it, right? It is very personal. And so for people who have left the church and then come back to it, this is the ultimate commitment. And it goes to show just how strong that call from Christ can be. And it's also the reason why we profile so many candidates and catechumens ahead of the Easter Vigil, because they all have incredible stories.
And you did a great job. I feel like I know all of them. Jess, thank you so much. As we mentioned, more than 1,200 people fully joined the faith at Easter Vigil across Brooklyn and Queens. According to the Diocese of Brooklyn Secretariat for Evangelization and Catechesis, 605 people received the sacraments of confirmation and the Eucharist during that Mass. Mass. An additional 683 people were baptized along with receiving the Eucharist and confirmation at the Easter Vigil. This increase in new Catholics is part of a nationwide trend. Other dioceses also saw a big boost in people joining the faith. The Archdiocese of Newark saw some 1,700 people. The Archdiocese of Seattle and Washington, D.C. had around 1,500 each. The Diocese of Trenton had close to 1,100, Chicago more than 1,000, and the Diocese of Richmond is reporting 900 people became Catholic this year. Every call to conversion for the catechumens was different, but Greg Montgomery's feels like a Hollywood epic. War, a whirlwind romance, becoming a father. It's a journey that led him to the former Lowe's Woodside movie theater, now St. Sebastian Church. Jessica Easthope has his story.
Greg Montgomery's life has all the makings of a Hollywood epic. War, a whirlwind romance, the challenges of new fatherhood, second chances. It plays out like a movie, fit for the pews of what used to be the Lowe's Woodside movie theater, St. Sebastian Church.
When we adopted our son, it became more, I want that faith in our family.
Greg's been attending Catholic Mass for more than 20 years since he met his wife, Jen Faith Brown Montgomery, a singer, actor, and performer, and the cantor at St. Sebastian's. The two had a cinematic meet-cute.
My car broke down and Greg stopped to fix it. I mean, I really just fell in love with him instantly.
At the time, Greg was recovering. He had broken his back in combat.
I was in 18 years. I did 6 in the Navy, 6 in the Army, 6 in the Air Force. Wind up breaking my back in my 18th year.
Those children had birth defects that were in his particular unit because of the exposure to the chemicals in the Gulf War. So we knew we wanted to adopt.
They adopted. And when Damien came, so did Greg's come-to-faith moment.
A mother had chose us. She had OD'd on Percocet with heroin, and Damien was born 3 months early. Died twice in the NICU, but kept coming back, kept fighting, and he's walking and talking.
Damien was baptized Catholic, and after experiencing all the blessings and fielding all the challenges of having a child with cerebral palsy, Greg wanted their faith to match.
It's hard to see, like, he's excluded from some birthday parties. Our kids don't want to play with him, but seeing everything he's going through, I don't think he could do it without faith.
At the Easter Vigil, Greg will receive his sacraments and officially become Catholic.
He has been one of our best models for the other people in our class, and he has done so much for our parish. We need people like Greg.
Greg's life has been an adventure, but soon a new one begins, and he can't wait for the sequel. In Woodside, Jessica Easthope, Currents News.
What an incredible story. Greg Montgomery joins us now in studio. Thanks so much for being here, Greg.
Thank you for having me.
So how does it feel where you can finally say, I'm Catholic?
It's very surreal. You know, you go through the process, and then the night that it happens, you do feel everything that's associated with it. So it was still reeling.
Yeah, because it was a long process, right?
It was a very long process.
To get to this point.
Very worthy process.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that I saw it through.
So tell us about the Easter Vigil. What was it like that night? How exciting was it?
It was really nice. My wife had surprised me with some friends coming in. One came all the way from Alabama. And then seeing my nephews and nieces and our friends whose kids that I went to their confirmations 20 years ago.
Wow.
So they were there, so that was nice.
So you have been attending Mass, though, for, what, 2 decades? You've been...
Yeah, 20 plus years with my wife.
20 plus years, because your wife works over at St. Sebastian. So you probably knew a lot about the Catholic Church before you even went through the OCIA process. But tell us, what was the best part about that process?
It was going through the OCIA classes. It was actually sitting down, you know, very nice with Patrick Sweeney and Karen Sweeney, that what they take it to the next level for you to want to know more. So it was really nice. It's things that you can mumble through when you're, say, at the Mass and know the parts, but not know the meaning. So it was nice to know all the meanings behind it.
What would you say is the biggest thing you learned going through that process?
I think for me it was the saints. You know, because really I grew up Baptist, so you didn't you didn't deal with the saints. It was Jesus, and that was it. But Mother Teresa, learning more of that aspect of it. So it was nice.
And it was really your son that forced you to make that decision, or not forced you, but led you to the decision to actually become Catholic, isn't that right?
Yes, so we baptized him Catholic at the time in Alabama, because that was the place where we could get it done.
Yeah.
But knowing that he's going to go through this process, I wanted to go through it myself for him and for our family, So I know in September he'll be starting, and I'll be there with him.
How exciting.
Yeah.
So for other people that may be going through the OCIA process, or maybe thinking about it, not quite sure, what kind of advice would you give them?
It's a long process, but it's a worthy process. If you go to the classes, learn, ask questions. If you're thinking about it, like I said, just attend one class and see where you want to be with it. And to me, it opened up a lot. So I'm glad I did it.
All right, some good advice. Greg Montgomery, new Catholic and parishioner at St. Sebastian. Thanks so much for being here, and congratulations.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
If you or someone you know is interested in becoming a Catholic, just contact your local parish and talk to your pastor. You can find the church closest to you by going to dioceseofbrooklyn.org and clicking on Parish Finder in the upper right-hand corner. If you missed that information, don't worry, we'll be repeating it throughout this newscast. More stories of faith are coming your way. How one new Catholic says he hopes his work in AI can help strengthen the church. Plus, her road to baptism is part of a longer journey to get down the aisle. And while more than 1,000 people have now joined the faith, some are still on the path to Catholicism and looking ahead to when it will be their turn. The path to the baptismal font is much longer than just the candlelit Easter Vigil. Some even span hundreds of miles, like the 55-year-old engineer from Japan who's bringing his AI expertise along for the mission after realizing he was missing the one thing AI can't replace. Current News' Jessica Easthope introduces us in Rego Park.
It's basically a robot clone where you can build those at home.
Sander Cheung's mind races. His ideas need to come fast because AI technology is faster.
So we call it dark factory 24/7.
Sander would know. He's been engineering it for decades, long before it was a hot topic.
I was all into math and science and engineering. Back then, it was not a popular term for AI. You see this? This is like a machine.
When he moves back to Tokyo in the spring, he'll step into the chief operating officer role of an organization that's using AI-powered robots to build houses. But he has something important to do in New York first. Get baptized Catholic.
He has all the answers. I feel like I was reading the science of the faith because it's so logical.
An accomplished skier, Sander got into a serious accident on the slopes 2 years ago and has been rehabbing his injuries ever since. One day on a walk down Queens Boulevard past Our Lady Queen of Martyrs Church in Forest Hills, his life changed forever.
And I was kind of at the lowest point of my life. I heard the church bell ring. That I just felt like a fatherly figure standing there, and I went up there and I got really emotional and I said, I'm sorry, I'm really sorry. Really, it changed my life that day.
Sander, who is Chinese but has lived much of his life in Japan, admits to getting caught up in the social demands of one of the most secular countries on earth. According to Pew Research, 50% of Japan reports no religion.
But I feel so strongly that in that secular society, like what I see, what I experienced in Japan, a lot of people are not happy because your life is involved around work and they need to be touched by Christianity.
Now at 55, Sander is preparing to receive his sacraments, and he's not leaving AI behind. He's bringing it with him. He dreams maybe one day the AI homes he's building could solve the homelessness crisis.
When I, let's say, go back to Tokyo, I want to be a soldier for Christ.
Sander says he realizes now AI and religion don't have to compete, they can collaborate. And there's nothing artificial about that. In Rego Park, Jessica Easthope, Currents News.
Our next neophyte had a basis of faith, just not the Catholic faith. Damari Machado's parents actually converted from Catholicism when they arrived in the U.S. from El Salvador and raised her in a Pentecostal home. In a previously recorded interview ahead of her conversion to Catholicism, Damari spoke to us about her journey of faith.
The wonderful thing about my parents is that they gave me this religious freedom to really explore religion, to question parts of religion that didn't make sense to me. Within Pentecostal, they taught me you could come to the services, but you are not obligated to really stay for the services or try to make sense of their services. And we did have a lot of Mexican family friends, and I also had a lot of Mexican classmates, and a lot of them celebrated the quinceañeras, a lot of them celebrated Our Lady of Guadalupe, and my mom's close friend was actually Mexican at the time, and she would always invite us, always at every party. She would have a huge portrait of her, and we just kind of became accustomed of seeing her in our daily lives, and I kind of just started to see a piece of hope and a piece of like my childhood in her, even though I wasn't a close relationship. I always admired the faith that people had in her. I admired the strength that she had in families. I really admired all of that. And her story was just admirable for me.
Yeah. Wow, that's amazing. And I hear congratulations are in order. You're engaged to be married, so happy for you. Is your fiance Catholic, and what does he think about your conversion?
So my fiance is Catholic. He was baptized and received his first communion actually in Queens. And he's missing his confirmation. But when I mentioned to him that, thank you for proposing to me, first of all. But I mentioned to him that I really want to have a wedding and just a matrimony in the church. I want it to be faith-based. He was like, that's fine, but we're gonna have to like really learn how to do that together. And I'm like, I'm willing to learn, I'm willing to grow together as long as you're willing to work with me. And if we have questions, if we have things that we don't understand or we have bumps in the road, like promise me that we will always fall back into our faith.
If you or someone you know is interested in becoming a Catholic, just contact your local parish and talk to your pastor. You can find the church closest to you by going to dioceseofbrooklyn.org and clicking on Parish Finder in the upper right-hand corner. If you missed that information, don't worry, we'll repeat it again in this newscast. Still to come on Currents News, we look to next year's Easter Vigil when a young teen will complete his journey to faith. This Coming to Catholicism special will be right back. But first, we want to say a prayer for those still taking part in the OCIA process. Our last conversion story actually hasn't ended yet. This year's Easter Vigil marked 1 year until 14-year-old John Lucas Gonsalves Cunha can receive his first communion and be confirmed. He still has more to learn before he receives his sacraments, but he already knows a lot. And most importantly, he knows this decision will change his life. Jessica Easthope has his story.
In the basement of Our Lady of Fatima Church in East Elmhurst, 14-year-old John Lucas Gonsalves Cunha doesn't break character.
No llores por mí, sino llora por los que no saben lo que hacen.
His conviction comes from within. He'll need it to play Jesus in the church's Via Crucis, a reenactment of the Stations of the Cross.
I accepted the role. I'm really excited for their production. I hope it goes really well, and I'm just really glad about it.
Despite having the lead role, John Lucas is missing something.
My faith journey is a little bit complicated. When I started taking my faith seriously, I was like, I need to go to church because it's really important. Before that, I hadn't gone to like church since like I was in the Dominican Republic.
He's waiting to receive First Communion and Confirmation, sacraments he didn't realize he needed until he watched the Passion of the Christ last Easter.
Even though it wasn't close to the pain that he really felt, it made me emotional and it made me take it way more seriously.
A freshman in high school, John Lucas is growing up in the age of social media. He admits that before he began the Order of Christian Initiation of Adults, or OCIA, he strayed from the faith he was baptized into. But he knew enough to find out the truth for himself.
There's this dude on social media. He says Catholics worship Mary, which is stereotypical and isn't true at all. We venerate Mary. We give her something called hyperdulia, which is a Greek term for the highest level of veneration. You have a platform where you can search for the truth and find what you should believe in.
John Lucas still has 1 year of OCIA until he can receive his sacraments at next year's Easter Vigil, but his passion hasn't wavered.
I'm really looking forward to actually take the Eucharist, which is the literal body and blood of Christ. Maybe even bring new people to Catholicism so that they can know who created them and who saved them. And that's Jesus, and I'm really excited for that.
That was Jessica Easthope reporting, and we wish John Lucas luck on his last year of OCIA classes. One last time, if you or someone you know is interested in becoming a Catholic, just contact your local parish and talk to your pastor. You can find the church closest to you by going to dioceseofbrooklyn.org and clicking on Parish Finder in the upper right-hand corner. That is this special edition of Currents News. I'm Christine Persichetti. Thank you for joining us because we are putting your faith in the news. Before we go, one final look at the Easter Vigil celebration with Bishop Robert Brennan in the Diocese of Brooklyn. Hope to see you again next time.